You set another alarm for 5 a.m., tell yourself this time will be different, and you actually believe it. You've got the discipline plan written out. The morning routine. The time blocks. The accountability system. It's perfect. And then, 5 a.m. comes. You hit snooze. Not once. 7 times. By 7:30, you're staring at your phone, scrolling through nothing, feeling like garbage about yourself. And here's what nobody's telling you. That discipline plan you made? It's not helping. It's making everything worse. Because you're not lazy. You're just stuck in what I call the discipline trap. And every time you try harder, you fall deeper in. This video is about why discipline actually sabotages procrastination recovery, and what to do instead. Let me show you what's really happening in your brain. Think about the last time you made a discipline plan. Maybe it was Sunday night. You felt motivated. You could see it clearly. Wake up at 5 a.m. Gym. Healthy breakfast. 2 hours of deep work before noon. You even set out your workout clothes. Prepped your meals. Downloaded a new productivity app. And in that moment, you genuinely believed you'd do it. Here's the thing though. You've made that exact plan, how many times? 15? 30? 100? Each time promising yourself this is the one that sticks. And here's where it gets strange. The more disciplined your plan is, the faster you abandon it. By Tuesday, you're already negotiating. By Thursday, you've given up completely. And then comes the shame spiral. I have no willpower. I'm lazy. I lack discipline. What's wrong with me? But here's what's actually happening. Your brain isn't broken. Your willpower isn't weak. You're just solving the wrong problem. Let me explain. When you procrastinate, your brain tells you it's a discipline issue. So you create a more rigid system. More rules. More structure. More self-control. Which makes perfect sense, right? If the problem is lack of discipline, then more discipline should fix it. Except it doesn't. Because procrastination isn't actually a discipline problem. It's an emotion regulation problem disguised as a time management issue. In 1977, psychologist Roy Baumeister started noticing something strange at Case Western Reserve University. He'd give students impossible tasks, then watch what happened. And he discovered something fascinating. People didn't procrastinate because they lacked skills or time. They procrastinated because the task triggered emotional discomfort they didn't know how to process. Fear of failure. Fear of success. Fear of judgment. Perfectionism. Shame. And here's the kicker. Your brain treats emotional discomfort the same way it treats physical danger. Same amygdala activation. Same fight or flight response. So when you sit down to start that project, your brain literally thinks you're under threat. Now here's where discipline makes everything worse. When you create a rigid discipline system, you're adding more emotional pressure. More rules to break. More ways to fail. More evidence that you're inadequate. Which creates more discomfort. Which triggers more avoidance. Let me show you how this actually plays out. You wake up at 5 a.m. like your plan says. But you feel tired. Your body wants more sleep. Now you have a choice. Follow the plan, or listen to your body. If you go back to sleep, you've failed. You're undisciplined. You're weak. If you get up, you're fighting your body's needs. Creating internal conflict. Either way, you lose. And this happens all day long. Every time your plan says, do this, but your brain says, I don't want to. You're in combat with yourself. That's not discipline. That's self-warfare. Add it up. 15 decisions a day where you're fighting yourself. That's 100 decisions a week. 400 decisions a month. Your brain isn't designed for constant internal conflict. So it does the only logical thing. It shuts down. It numbs out. It procrastinates. Here are 5 signs you're stuck in the discipline trap. Number 1. Your plans get more detailed every time you restart. You think, I just need a better system. So you add more structure. More rules. More accountability measures. But each new plan is just a heavier burden to carry. Number 2. You feel relief when you give up. Strange, right? You'd think giving up would feel terrible. But there's this moment, when you finally admit the plan isn't working, where you feel lighter. That's because you're finally releasing the pressure you put on yourself. Number 3. You perform better without a plan. Ever notice how you can be spontaneously productive, but the moment you schedule it, you resist? That's because the schedule itself creates pressure. And pressure creates avoidance. Number 4. You procrastinate on starting your discipline system. You're going to wake up at 5 a.m. and be super disciplined, starting Monday. But Monday keeps getting pushed back. Because deep down, you already know it won't work. Number 5. You only take action when it's urgent. Deadlines force you to move. Crises snap you into focus. But without external pressure, you can't make yourself do anything. That's not laziness. That's a nervous system that only responds to threat. Now let me guess what you're thinking. But I need discipline. Without structure, I'll do nothing. And I get it. That's what we've been taught. No pain, no gain. Discipline equals freedom. Successful people have routines. But here's what they don't tell you. Those successful people? They're not fighting themselves. They've built systems that reduce internal conflict, not increase it. They're not more disciplined than you. They're just solving the actual problem. So what's the actual problem? Emotional discomfort. Specifically, your inability to stay with uncomfortable emotions without numbing, avoiding, or self-medicating. When you sit down to start that project, discomfort arises. Fear, inadequacy, overwhelm, boredom, frustration. Your brain immediately wants to escape. So you check your phone, make coffee, reorganize your desk, research productivity methods. Anything to avoid sitting with the discomfort. And discipline plans? They don't teach you how to sit with discomfort. They just tell you to power through it. Just do it anyway. Push through. Be disciplined. But you can't willpower your way through emotional dysregulation. That's like trying to discipline your way out of anxiety. It doesn't work. It makes it worse. Let me name what you're actually feeling. Not laziness. Not lack of discipline. It's shame. Shame about past failures. Shame about your potential. Shame about who you're not yet. And shame is unbearable to sit with. So your brain does everything possible to avoid it, including procrastinating, which creates more shame, which creates more procrastination. It's a perfect trap. Here's the part that changes everything. You don't need more discipline. You need to stop treating yourself like the enemy. What actually works? I call it the 3R framework. 3 shifts that address the real problem. Not discipline. Emotional regulation. Shift number 1. Recognize the discomfort without judgment. When you sit down to start, and you feel that resistance, don't fight it. Just notice it. Oh, there's fear. There's overwhelm. There's the urge to escape. You're not trying to change it. You're not trying to push through it. You're just recognizing it exists. This is radical because we're trained to ignore discomfort. But when you acknowledge it, something interesting happens. The emotion doesn't control you anymore. It's just information. My brain is uncomfortable right now. And here's what most people miss. That discomfort? It peaks in about 90 seconds. If you can just sit with it, without reacting, it passes. But we never give it the chance. We escape immediately. Shift number 2. Reduce the stakes. Remember how discipline plans create pressure? We're going to do the opposite. Make it so low stakes that failure is impossible. Instead of, I will work for 2 hours. Try. I will open the document. That's it. Just open it. You don't have to write. You don't have to be brilliant. You don't even have to stay. Just open it. This sounds too simple to work. But here's what happens. When the stakes are that low, there's no emotional resistance. Your brain doesn't perceive threat. So it doesn't trigger avoidance. And once you're in the document, you usually keep going. Not because you force yourself. Because there's no pressure stopping you. Shift number 3. Forgive the pattern. This is the hardest one. Because you've spent years hating yourself for procrastinating. Every time you delay, you add it to the list of evidence that you're broken. But that self-hatred? It's fuel for more procrastination. Shame doesn't motivate change. It paralyzes. So here's what you do instead. When you procrastinate, you say, this makes sense. Not, I'm lazy. Not, I'm undisciplined. This makes sense. My brain perceived threat. It tried to protect me. That's what brains do. This isn't excusing the behavior. It's understanding the mechanism. And when you understand it, you stop adding shame to the cycle. Let me show you what this looks like in practice. It's Sunday night. You're planning your week. Old approach. Tomorrow I wake up at 5 a.m. Gym. No phone until 9. 2 hours deep work before lunch. New approach. Tomorrow I will notice when discomfort arises. I will reduce one stake. I will forgive myself once. That's it. You're not planning tasks. You're planning emotional regulation. Monday morning. 5 a.m. alarm goes off. Old approach. You force yourself up. Hate every second. Prove you have discipline. New approach. You notice you're tired. You recognize the discomfort of forcing yourself awake. You reduce the stakes. I don't have to go to the gym. I just have to sit up. Maybe you sit up and feel more awake. Maybe you decide to sleep more. Either way, no shame. Later. Time to start that project. Old approach. I will work for 2 hours. No excuses. New approach. I'm feeling resistance. That's my brain perceiving threat. What would make this feel safer? Opening the document. That's all I'm committing to. You open it. The discomfort peaks. You sit with it for 90 seconds. It passes. You start working. Not because you disciplined yourself into it. Because you removed the emotional barrier. Here's what's wild. With the old approach, you might work for 2 hours. But it feels like warfare. And tomorrow, you'll resist even harder. With the new approach, you might work for 3 hours. And it feels almost easy. Because you're not fighting yourself. This is the paradox. When you stop trying to control yourself with discipline, you often accomplish more. Because you're working with your brain, not against it. Now let's be honest about something. This isn't a magic fix. You will still procrastinate sometimes. You will still feel discomfort. You will still have days where nothing happens. The difference is, you won't add shame to it. You won't spiral into self-hatred. You won't abandon yourself every time you're imperfect. And that's what breaks the cycle. Not discipline. Self-compassion. Because here's the real battle. It's not between you and your to-do list. It's between the version of you that demands perfection and the version of you that's trying to survive. Your procrastination isn't laziness. It's your brain trying to protect you from an internal tyrant. And that tyrant? It's your disciplined mindset. So the question isn't, how do I get more disciplined? The question is, how do I stop being at war with myself? And the answer is simple. Recognize the discomfort. Reduce the stakes. Forgive the pattern. Do that once today. Just once. Not because you're building discipline, but because you're learning a different way to exist. A way where you don't have to earn your own kindness. A way where imperfection doesn't mean failure. A way where procrastination is just information, not identity. Think about tomorrow morning. You'll wake up. You'll have things to do. You'll feel resistance. What will you do with that moment? Will you fight it? Force yourself? Prove your discipline? Or will you try something different? If this hit close, comment. Discipline trap. And if you've been at war with yourself for too long, maybe it's time to negotiate peace. The subscribe button is there if you want more on this. But honestly, just try one reduced stakes action today. Because you're not lazy. You're just trying to survive a system that was never designed for you.